Hey everybody, I'm back again looking at one of the 101 weirdest objects selected by Astronomy magazine. And this time I'm looking for something really interesting. The object in question is called Hoag's object. Hoag's object was discussed by Arthur Hoag back in 1950 as a very, very faint planetary nebula. But Arthur Hoag wasn't sure whether or not this was in fact a regular planetary nebula because of some of its characteristics. And we've since learned that Hoag's object, as it became known, is one of the best examples of what is known as a ring galaxy. That's right, a galaxy in the shape of what is an almost perfect circle. Ring galaxies are extremely rare. And this particular one is over 600 million light years away. And although it spans 120,000 light years across, it is tiny in my field of view. And at magnitude 16, it is probably the dimmest object I have ever attempted to capture. But this is why I love this hobby, and the primary reason I got into astrophotography. To see things like this for myself that I wouldn't be able to see otherwise. Now, behind me is my 6-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. It's a Celestron NexStar 6SE. It's running on an alt-azimuth mount that is sitting on an equatorial wedge, which makes this an equatorial mount. And with this common telescope and this modest setup from my Bortle 8 backyard, I'm going to see if I can find Hoag's object. Hi, my name is Chris, and welcome to my channel. My 6SE rig weighs 50 pounds, but I like to bring it out assembled as it makes it easier to install it on a tall pier. The pier itself rises at least 5.5 feet from the deck and is anchored to the ground with a fence post spike and braced to the deck for stability. The reason for the height of the pier is simple: to get as much clearance as possible. Otherwise, much of the view would be blocked by bushes and trees. The rig is self-contained, meaning the telescope, mount, power distribution, and mini PC are all fixed together, so that when I bolt it to the pier, all I need to do is connect the 12-volt power using an accessory adapter. I use a focal reducer, which turns this f10 1500mm telescope into an f6.3 with a focal length just shy of 1000mm. But not tonight. You see, Hoag's object is tiny. It is a mere 45 arcseconds across, making it half the size of Messier 57, also known as the Ring Nebula. So tonight, I'm taking off my reducer. Here's a useful hack. You can use a strap wrench to loosen stuck reducers and extension rings. And the rubber jar opener can be very handy when dealing with filters that won't budge. Notice that I'm not shortening my imaging train after removing the reducer. This is because I can still reach focus when connecting the rest of my imaging train directly to the back of the telescope. I think this works because the visual back normally takes up quite a bit of space, and without it, there is enough movement on the secondary mirror to make up the difference. Hoag's object resides between the constellation Bootes, or Bootes, and the constellation Corona Borealis, and it is very small. It sits in a star field among several other even fainter and smaller galaxies. Here we are in Stellarium, where we can have a closer look at where it sits. Wow, Stellarium actually has it as a ring. And this is what I might hope to expect in the image that I'm capturing. And over here we have these other two little tiny galaxies. These might be too faint for me to pick up. Now last night I managed almost 3 hours of data, or 58 frames at 3 minutes each. And after stacking in Deep Sky Stacker and some processing in Siril, here's what I was able to come up with. Wow, look at that. That is so faint. I can barely make it out. I don't know if it'll show on screen, but I can just see a slight outline of a ring, but that is definitely the core of Hoag's object. And over here on the left, we see those two little tiny galaxies as well. And this is with 3 hours worth of imaging. Now, unfortunately, the moon is getting brighter. And ideally, I'd be imaging this object on a very dark night in a darker location. But so far this season, it just happens to be that we only have clear nights when the moon is out. So I'll have to make do with what I have. But I'll try to gather data for as many nights as I can until the moon becomes overwhelming. I let my telescope gather as much data as I could get over the following week and a half, which gave me an additional 4 clear nights. I took advantage of my telescope running at its native focal length of 1,500 millimeters to also image the moon and the sun. Both the sun and moon were too large to fit into the frame of the ASI 294 MC Pro sensor, but nevertheless resulted in images that had pretty cool detail. The moon, nearing full, showed some nicely shadowed craters along the rim, while the sun continued to impress with a number of sunspots. If you are ever imaging the sun, head on over to spaceweatherlive.com, where you can look up the numbers of the visible sunspots, like I did with this image I took just over 1 month ago. And so here we are, a week and a half later, and I have 376 frames on Hoag's object. Although the moon was at the opposite end of the sky, it was so bright that it made imaging difficult, even with the Optolong quad light pollution filter. And here's a single 3-minute frame, and looking closely, I can barely make out anything on it. Hoag's object is somewhere right here. I think that's the core, but I think my eyes are also playing tricks on me. But try as I might, I can't make out the ring at all. And now here's a stack of 18 hours and 48 minutes, easily the longest I have ever imaged a single object for. And wow, look at that. You can see the core, and you can just make out the faint ring. Not only that, but we can see the slight darker area, which is the separation between the ring and the bright core. And around Hoag's object, we can also make out some of these other smaller galaxies, like these two faint ones here. Now, normally I would run something like this through astrometry.net, which I did. So here's my image uploaded to Astrometry. But even here, the annotation doesn't show anything. And I've tried looking for samples of images that others have uploaded, and such as this one here, unfortunately the image doesn't have any details of exposure time or what kind of a telescope was used. And although I wasn't sure what to expect, the fact that I can see an actual ring that is this small, only 45 arcseconds across, that's less than 100 pixels on my camera, that is pretty darn cool. So here's my challenge to you guys. I would love to see whether or not you can use an amateur telescope to get any more details on the ring itself, or better and cleaner separation between the ring and the core. So if you live under a darker sky, or if you have a more powerful amateur telescope, I challenge you to take a better image of Hoag's object. And I think you can do it because I believe in you. Now, my email address is in the channel description. And if I get enough responses, I'll do a quick follow-up video showcasing just what's possible with an amateur telescope. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and clear skies.